Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Small Caps. I'm your host, Jess Holland, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Jay Albany, who is the CEO of Wide Open Australia. The ticker code is WOA. So, hi, Jay. It's wonderful to have you on the show.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for having me.
So now, Jay, the last time that we caught up, we spoke about the company entering the European market with the company's lupin-based protein products, so including Buntine Protein. So now, for those of us sort of taking a step back, for those of us who might be new to the story, can you maybe just give our Small Caps audience just kind of a brief overview of the company, your products, and kind of a recap of what you've been up to in the last sort of couple of months?
Thanks, Jess. Yes, Wide Open Agriculture is really about commercializing nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown produce. Our focus is on taking things that are grown regeneratively or can be grown regeneratively in Western Australia, accelerating that to produce great, delicious, healthy food that's good for the planet. And as a company based in Western Australia, it's important to us to take advantage of the great infrastructure that exists here to expand globally with high quality green products. Our hero product is produced from lupins. Australia grows about 3/4 of the world's lupins. Most of them are grown in Western Australia in our wheat belt. And we recently expanded through the acquisition of manufacturing assets of ProLupin into Germany, entering the European market. So that's something we did with a small acquisition just a few months ago as part of relisting on the ASX.
Yeah, fantastic, Jay. Now, you've mentioned the European market. So now the company has just announced kind of securing a investment and distribution deal with UK clean ingredients company, Ingå Group. So now, can you give our Small Caps audience kind of, what are the key strategic objectives that the company hopes to achieve through this partnership, if we can start there?
Yeah, that's great, Jess. So Ingå Group their Ingå Group is a wholly owned subsidiary of the venture arm of Axel Johnson. They're a 10 billion euro family company in Switzerland. It's a gigantic endorsement of what we're trying to do with the lupin program and with Buntine Protein. You could not ask for a better commercial endorsement of what our strategy and what we're trying to do here than Axel Johnson. So the deal basically is it absolutely includes a sales and distribution agreement. We're very excited about that. Entering a new market, especially the world's most advanced consumer market for plant-based foods, Europe. It's great to have an experienced, well-funded partner to help you do that and have the best chance of success possible. Great news, Jess, they've also invested in the German subsidiary that we acquired, the ProLupin manufacturing assets. So that helps us accelerate production to get Buntine on quickly and aggressively early this year.
Amazing, Jay. So, Jay, with this partnership, does this mean that that WA has to kind of share its IP, or how does that work?
That's a great question, Jess. So the key IP for Buntine Protein we acquired in an agreement with Curtin University. It's Australia knows lupins. This was developed in Australia. It's part of WOA, the holding company. So as a wholly owned subsidiary, we will make a non-transferable license to the WOA Germany group. But no, the acquisition and the investment by Axel Johnson and Ingå Group does not include any access to that IP, financially or from any other perspective. It's a wholly owned subsidiary. They have a minority stake. I hope to work with them to build a great European and German-based business. But the 100% ownership of the Curtin IP, which is critical to the performance of Buntine Protein, sits with the head co.
Yeah, okay. That's really interesting, Jay. That's really good to know. But then also what's really, important to understand for our audience as well is what are the specific areas where Ingå's expertise and their network, how will that be valuable in helping to scale Wide Open's lupin-based protein products within Europe?
Yeah, Jess, so that's a great question. So we've done a lot of work at Wide Open in the Buntine team on the initial target applications where we know Buntine does a great job comparative to soy and pea. those have been in bakery, in dairy alternatives and dairy substitutes. Of course, in strength shakes, we do a great job because of the solubility and the amino acid profile. So what Ingå brings is very experienced team, almost 200 people in that organization selling in all the major European, Western European countries, and the UK, huge presence in the UK. So what they bring is significant customer interactions. They accelerate our chance to get our product, which we think is top right now, in front of as many people as possible, and leverage that with a selling network. Of course, we have a team in Germany as well, and a team here, so we can work together to do that. But Ingå really helps us through their network, their existing sales customers, and the Axel Johnson Group backing to take this to a higher level faster, and that's why we're so excited.
Yeah. So Jay, so having that in mind, what are your expectations in terms of the final distribution agreement, particularly regarding the volume of lupin-based protein products that Ingå may be able to distribute across Europe? You spoke about the network.
Yeah, that's great, Jess. So when we believe that the ProLupin plant that we acquired can currently do 500 tons per annum of Buntine Protein, and that with a little investment additional from us for drying and some of the special equipment required for making Buntine Protein, we can get that to 1,000 tons per annum. That financing included in the raise we just did. So we're kind of going for 1,000 tons per annum max capacity of this facility. We've got a pipeline already of 400 tons. The ProLupin group believes they have 100 tons as well. It's kind of over both of those over the next 18 months. So we're really looking for Ingå Group to help us get close to that 1,000 ton level as quickly as possible. The key to really having powerful economics in this plant are high utilization and efficient use of the co-products. So the fiber is a byproduct, which we think has really high potential as a co-product for dietary fiber. So as we get both of those humming, we think there is clear line of sight for more than 3 times our current turnover and really attractive cash flow margins.
Yeah, fantastic, Jay. So now, beyond financial investment, how will Ingå, do you think, contribute to Wide Open's sustainability goals in the European market?
That's a good question, Jess. One of the things that we've done really well as a company, we're an authentic, well-known, even though we're a small company, we're an authentic and well-respected company in terms of how we apply regenerative agriculture and green, for lack of a better word, sort of fit in as a leader in the global green movement. And, I think we say that a lot with our food brand and with what we do here and the Common Land Network, of course. But I think probably what investors potentially or people who are interested in the company miss is that this is super appealing to large, big food companies because this is something that is important to them in how they make their products, of course, but also how they market them. They want to be moving and pushing and building products that appeal to consumers who are caring more and more about sustainability these days. So we're a great partner to help them do that. So I think in terms of answering your question, I think we'll bring a lot to what Ingå Group and Axel Johnson's trying to do. Sustainability obviously is one of their key pillars as they build their business, and I think we'll bring a lot to that, and we'll work together. Just as a point of knowledge, the planting of lupins naturally fixes nitrogen in the soil, so that's a huge lever reducing the greenhouse emissions in the food system. So because of the reduction of nitrogen fertilizer by doing that, so I think this product in particular has really large impact potential globally.
Yeah, so interesting, Jay. And I was reading, your latest presentation just yesterday, actually. And yeah, it's just really interesting to see how the global demand, particularly with younger generations for these types of products, moving away from traditional kind of meat to more of these kind of sustainable products. So it was really interesting for me to read through your presentation to see not just from a company perspective, but also from, your consumers. Like your people that are consuming these products as an end product. So yeah, really interesting.
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right. I think we're in a generational shift in this market, and I don't mean that just in terms of age. I mean, and this is a moment in the food industry where there is a generational shift in how people think about, consider, purchase, how they evaluate their food purchases, and it's not just sort of the high sort of the very passionate folks who are in the small minority that you might think of as an investor. It's really becoming broad based, and what's exciting for us is that I think we have a really top product in Buntine Protein that makes it easier for global food companies to produce clean label food with positive environmental impact without having to add performance enhancers to make it taste good, such as artificial flavors and gums and other things like that. Numbered ingredients, we've all flipped over the packs. It's especially true in the vegan aisle. So Buntine Protein has high performance in solubility, gelation, and emulsification that makes it, and a clean taste. Taste is always most important. I think the first round of foods that really appealed to passionate folks who are looking to eat less meat for health reasons or environmental reasons, it didn't taste as good. It didn't taste that good. So I think we're in a generational shift to a second generation of foods where it creates the opportunity for a company like us, who's been able to bring to market this high performance product, to have a chance to win some contracts that maybe wouldn't normally have a chance to in sort of normal course of things. So really big opportunity for us. That's why we've spent on the acquisition to enter Europe. That's why we've been able to attract the interest of folks like Axel Johnson and Saputo.
Yeah, no, Jay, that makes so much sense, and I think that the company is in such a great position given kind of this global change and kind of this more conscious awareness about what are the foods that we're eating and how can we, contribute better to sustainability from an aspect of food. So now, kind of keeping along that train, Jay, how does Wide Open and Ingå, envision your long-term impact in terms of the collaboration on the future of sustainable food production?
Yeah, I mean, we're aligned from a mission, and I think it's the things that, look, there's an overall shortage of protein in the world, and there's really a shortage of food. But if you think about the growing consumer class, there's an overall shortage of protein. It's the highest value part of what we eat. As the trend towards less meat, emerges, or as the trend for more protein globally, and there's a competition for price for protein, I think that working with a partner like Ingå Group and Axel Johnson, Saputo, really helps us, gives us the potential to scale what we're doing. We think we have a great product that's ready for market now. That's why we've been aggressive. Over time, basically what you'll see is, we hope to have, we've got distribution agreements already now in North America, and obviously here at home in Australia, and now the UK. So we'll be looking aggressively to produce as much Buntine as we can sell, and we're aggressively going to market trying to execute.
Yeah, brilliant, Jay. So now just going back to this partnership, how do you think this partnership address the potential challenges of entering into a new market of Europe? I know you mentioned network, but what are the other things that this partnership can overcome in terms of obstacles?
Well, it's support, speed, experience, people. When you're in, we think we've developed a groundbreaking product. We are also located in a geographically isolated place. It's Perth is the most geographically isolated city in the world. So extending to new regions where we think the market is much, much bigger. I mean, obviously think of the buying power of Europe versus Australia. It's quite significant. When you enter a new market, it's a lot of work. It's expensive. You've got to hire a team. You've got to build. You've got to learn, make mistakes, and learn as you go into a new market. So to have an experienced team with an existing customer base, as I said, 200 people on the ground, huge financial backing from the parent company, it's a game changer for us because it helps us go to market now, hopefully without making those mistakes. And so I'm pretty excited to have that support. The other thing Axel Johnson brings is they have world-class food NPD labs in the UK. So, you know, we've spoken a lot about how our best selling conversion is getting in front of the new product development NPD folks at big brands and showing them what Buntine can do with food applications. So, you know, whether it's a high protein bread or a guilt-free bicky, or of course our dairy equivalent or high protein oat milk, you know, getting that product in front and having someone try it is so much more powerful than sending a bag of powder as an ingredient. So having that access to Axel Johnson's ability to create a whole range of these food applications helps us target many markets, many different food applications and kinds of food in Europe quickly and professionally.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, what are the next steps, Jay, in terms of for both of the companies after finalizing this distribution agreement? What's next?
We expect to finalize the agreement pretty soon. We wanted to announce it at Food Ingredients Europe, which is the biggest industry conference in Europe. So that was the reason for signing the term sheet on that day. You know, there's not a ton to negotiate. We're pretty well aligned, so very happy there. Our booths at the conference with Ingå Group, we're working together. So we're already working to build that order book, and I think there's some additional work before there's a definitive and contractually binding agreement, but we're feeling pretty good about that. First step for us really is, number one, we need to convert the existing ProLupin pipeline. They estimated they had about 100 tons over the next 18 months. There is product ready for that. We want to convert that, validate that, get those going, and then we can convert them over to Buntine as needed. Number two is, you know, we're moving quickly to produce Buntine out of that factory. I think we'll do it in the first calendar quarter of 2024. The key equipment vendor for Buntine Protein. Now, just Buntine Protein is our name. That is where we grow lupins in our first batch of lupins, Buntine WA. But it's differentiated by the high performance of gelation, emulsification, and solubility that I was telling you about. It's a IP that's protected globally, and it's an additional step post-extraction into production of the protein. So that uses a relatively inexpensive piece of equipment, but we have to purchase those and install them in Europe. The key equipment vendor is about 3 hours drive from our factory, so we're expecting that to be done a lot quicker in Germany than it would be in Western Australia. So I think convert the pipeline, sell the product that's on hand, and sort of set them up for the transition and upgrade. In parallel, produce Buntine Protein at location, and then probably C is begin the work for monetizing the fiber co-product and scaling up to 1,000 tons. As I mentioned, we feel really good about our backlog, 400 tons over the next 18 months, hopefully 100 from the ProLupin folks, and anything we get from Ingå on top of that. So, you know, we really want to have that factory humming and ready to meet that demand.
Yeah, fantastic, Jay. So now I know you've sort of answered this question a little bit in what you were just chatting about now in terms of your IP and the solubility of your proteins. But given, you know, the increasing focus on plant-based products is what we've discussed in terms of global demand and kind of the shift to more sustainable food and healthy food and proteins, how does Wide Open, you know, hope to differentiate its lupin-based products from other competitors that might start to come out of the woodworks in the European market, or that might already be, you know, in existence?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jess. So we really look at our business, especially with the acquisition of ProLupin, as the global leader in lupin as a feedstock and an ingredient. Lupin is a pulse. It has a different makeup than sort of the other competitive ingredients. So most of the industry is in the first generation of products. It's using soy. Soy is problematic for a number of environmental and taste reasons. It's also going to be structurally disadvantaged, we believe, due to the importing nature of that into Europe. So basically, there's a competition in the transition from soy to something else. Now, I think the soy market will continue to grow globally because the overall space is growing, but the fastest growing subsectors will be probably pea seems to be the early leader, peas. So I think as compared to peas, the pea protein is really I'd want to say it's like high volume commoditized protein coming globally. So there's different prices. It's in a price based competition. It competes on, hey, we can be comparable. We want to eventually get comparable to soy, and it's not soy. It's its main competitive differentiator. With lupins, you're looking at a much fuller nutritional profile, all 9 essential amino acids. The protein is naturally higher than peas. Lupin has almost 40% natural protein. It's about double pea. So that should provide us with a structural advantage there. You're also looking at dietary fiber, a much higher value co-product than pea is mostly starch. So from a feedstock perspective, we feel good about pea. From a performance perspective, I think it's really important. The technology that we bring from Curtin provides a clean taste to lupin. So this is not what you think of as sheep feed. This is a very clean tasting protein. That's what we are going for. That is what our prospects say when they taste it. Wow, that was a clean taste. Pea, faba, soy, they all have something that the food scientists call a beanie flavor, which means that they have to cover it up with something. So in a market like where we're targeting the alternatives to dairy, where it is really front of palate in texture and flavor, that saves them in total cost and use and in the marketability of a clean label. So that's how we compete. I think as we grow production to larger scale, we'll have the ability to get better economics. But at the moment, we're able to charge a pretty good premium. The market pricing is actually higher in Europe than we predicted in Australia. So feeling good about that. And we're feeling good about the gross profit dollars per ton that can come out of that. So so far, it's looking very good. But we do compete on point of difference and the functionality. So we're definitely in the upper quality of the plant protein options.
Yeah, fantastic, Jay. Now, kind of shifting gears a little bit, I hope we have a little bit of time left because we've spoken about your Ingå partnership in Europe, but now I just wanted to pivot and just have you mention, Saputo Dairy Australia. Now, can you tell our audience a little bit more about that partnership, just to kind of round out what you guys are doing, because there's so much you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, Jess, I'm glad you asked that. So this entire interview, I've been talking about sort of how we go from pilot scale in Perth to commercial scale in Europe. That'll bring us to Europe. Could bring us to about 1,000 tons per annum relatively quickly. That can enable a tripling of revenue and we think attractive cash flow margins, like folks have dreamed about from the lupin product line. But what do we do then? Because the market is so much bigger than 1,000 tons. So our plan is we've announced a non-binding MOU, which we're working on finalizing, and we have a great relationship with Saputo Dairy Australia that gives us line of sight to produce in the first site at least 5,000 tons per annum. So if you think about what is said about 1,000 tons, it really gives us sort of runway to sell and engage with very large food brands and food partners with sort of the confidence for us, for investors, and for most importantly for the prospects that we can have a high level of redundant, professionally produced product at large scale. So we could support a hit product if hopefully that happened. In terms of Saputo, look, they're a great partner. The deals with the Australian subsidiary of Saputo. It's a dairy brand you and your listeners would probably have heard of. They own several facilities in Victoria, Tasmania. The Devondale Milk is one of their brands. Cheer Cheese. The parent company is a top 10 dairy. They have world-class assets and infrastructure in North America. South America, the UK, and of course here in Australia. So it's a great win-win. They have a lot of world-class drying assets. So drying is a key step in plant protein production. It's most of the extraction and sort of isolation of the protein is done in liquid state. So it's very expensive to build a greenfield facility that enables a phase transition from liquid to powder. But it's critical for the customers because it gives them shelf life, and it's easy to use as an ingredient. So I think having a partner that's like Saputo Australia, and we're optimistic about what we can do with the parent company. It's a great win for us. It saves us from having to spend massive amounts of money, take several years to build a greenfield site. We can work with them to build a killer app in their facility. They don't just let anyone into their facility, so I think it really speaks to the potential of Buntine Protein, and it's a huge validation of what we're doing.
Yeah, awesome, Jay. And I think, it's great that you've got the kind of the homegrown aspect of, Wide Open Australia, operating within Australia, having operations or having an MOU and going into partnership, with a company like Saputo, but then also accessing, such a much larger, consumer base in Europe. So yeah, lots of exciting things happening, Jay. I just have one final question for you, Jay. And as always, just would really love you to share sort of 2 or 3 key takeaways with our audience as to why Wide Open is a good investment option for them.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. I really enjoyed speaking with you. I think the main thing that you should take away from this is that I believe the market generally was wondering how a company in the middle of Western Australia could produce a globally relevant hit product. And I get that. But I think what you've seen from announcements with global entities like Saputo, our distributors in North America, and Axel Johnson and Ingå Group is that we have a validated high growth product that is supported by the industry, and we're in a really good position to grow this business. So that'd be number one, is that sales validation from inarguably experts in the industry. Point 2 would be, there's a long way to go here. We have line of sight to grow this business quite substantially now that we have these 2 agreements in place, and we control our own destiny for the first 1,000 tons with ProLupin. But this is a gigantic market, and we now can produce, between the 2 agreements, we've got clear line of sight to get over 6,000 tons per annum produced here at attractive margins. And this is a transformational step change in the business.
Yeah, fantastic, Jay. Thank you so much. As always, it's always so great to catch up with you, and really looking forward to having you back on the show with more news and progress very soon.
Thanks, Jess. Bye.